that one is. Hey, roommates. Hey. Hello. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. I know that we figuring it out, y'all see it's a group of us. We at a round table, baby. We finna figure this thing out. Yes, this one is right. But I see like the live in this corner, but not here. Let me look at it right here on my Instagram and stuff. Hey y'all, come on in, roommates. Come on in. We totally appreciate you being here today. Happy Tuesday. Yes, Instagram is not sideways. Like, I don't know what we got to do to make it go to the side. Hi, Tasha. Hey, y'all. We trying to figure out. This is my first time, guys, having this many people at the table. And so we look good, even though we upside down. like, look at us. We looking good. Yeah, we just, Phoenix, is it a way to flip? Is it a way?
The upside.
You might need
Let me show you.
Make it vertical.
Let me show you. That's what it looks like. So, yeah, we may have to turn it vertical, but does it have all of us in it?
Watch it back.
Okay, guys, we figured it out. Come on in, roommates. Is there a setting? It has to be a setting somewhere for us. Let me look on Facebook. I'm certain on Facebook we are, because I can tell, I think, that we are in this righteous position. I got some lovely house guests here with us tonight, guys. We are going to work through our technical issues. We are going to work through our technical issues. Just bear with us.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. Hey, roommates. Come on in. Come on in. All right, let me take a look. Okay. All right. So we are figuring it out. I'm looking at us on camera. Hey, y'all, come on in. I see you guys. Phoenix, that's perfect.
Oh, yes.
That's perfect. Okay. For Isha, yeah, we got to turn that and make it happen on the other one. Okay, look like the camera moving, but hey, roommates. All right, guys, so I have this wonderful group of ladies here with me. We are celebrating National Social Work Month. So tell me, girls, is it National Social Work Month? Is it National Social Work Awareness Month? What is it?
I think it's awareness.
Is it awareness?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are figuring it out. Isha, you need to physically bring your chair around a little bit, because on Instagram you off a little bit to the side. Okay. I think we're in the shot. Hey, Brown Fox. Hey, Miss Tasha 29. We are here. We are thankful, so thankful to be here at this round table in bringing forth social work awareness. Each of us here at this table are social workers in our own right. I will give our house guests an opportunity to tell us who they are and the modality of work that they do. But as in rumor has it, forum, we will first have a Bible verse, and then we're gonna kick this thing off, okay? Because we got some stuff to discuss, and it's just plenty to get through. So I'm gonna read us a Bible verse from 1 Peter 4:10, and it teaches us that each one should use whatever gift he has to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. And that's a word in and of itself, because I'm sure you ladies have taken the gifts assessments at your churches. In taking those gift assessments, what would you say your top quality is generally when you take that? What is one of your gifts that you always get hit with when you take that gift assessment?
I don't really remember taking the gift assessment, but I know I am gifted in helping.
Helping.
That's why I'm a social worker. So, yeah.
Gifted in helping others. Have you ever taken that assessment I'm referring to, Olaide?
I don't think that I have.
Okay.
But I would say I have found that I'm gifted in compassion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, it is always teaching or either hospitality. Like they're always my top two on that gifts assessment. And I think I gave it to you, Bo, not long ago. The gift assessment. Did you take it?
Yeah, we just talked about that recently,
Uh-huh.
a couple months ago. And so mine was giving, like the number one was giving.
Wow.
Mercy and compassion.
Yes.
Need you in the world.
Yes, need her, right? So guys, without further ado, again, thank you guys for joining us. None of our house guests are actual strangers to this platform. I have known each of them over many years and in professional and personal settings, and they have been huge supporters of Rumor Has It since I've launched last July. So I'm gonna just start from my furthest right, and I'm gonna ask each of you guys to answer this question. Who are you? How long have you been a social worker? And what field of social work do you work in? Isha?
Well, my name is Aisha Ali Gibson, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I have been a social worker for about 22 years, and I currently work in medical social work in case management settings in the hospital and clinic, outpatient clinics.
Okay. Thank you for your service. All right, Day.
My name is Olaide Agunmoye. I am also a licensed clinical social worker. I have been officially a social worker for the last 9 years.
Yay.
And I also work in healthcare. Currently I work in threat assessment, but previously have done inpatient, outpatient, and psychotherapy.
Did you say threat assessment?
Correct.
What is that?
So violence risk assessment, we work like in tandem with the police and other like law enforcement to identify like violence, the risk of violence before it gets physical. So in healthcare settings, there is a high potential for people to be violent to healthcare staff. So given the climate that we live in, where there's a lot of community violence and unpredictable violence, we and other agencies have a threat assessment team to try to identify individuals before they hurt anybody. So, yeah.
And you are in a medical setting or community based?
I work in a hospital. I work in a public hospital.
Okay. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And ma'am.
Hi, everybody. I'm Veronique Wallace. I've been a social worker for about 19 years.
Woo.
Can't believe it. I currently am in medical social work as well. I work for an insurance company. So my role is to help people that are enrolled in Medicaid government health plans to make sure like they're getting the most out of their benefits, they're seeing their doctors and getting the care that they need.
Wonderful. And I am Tamika, affectionately known as Nikki. I have been a social worker. November 1st of this year will be 24 years. And I have worked, I know, right? I'm getting up there. I have served my community, honey. And I have worked from community-based organizations to community mental health centers. I worked for the Division of Developmental Disabilities with the state of Illinois. I've worked in hospital social work, in psychiatric social work. And now for the first time in my career, I am doing organizational type social work. So I'm doing I'm managing organizations, hospitals, and stuff like that, providing support from a macro level. So systematically, what is it that we need to do on a systems level so that what we're doing is impactful to the person that's receiving the care at the door. So this is my first time kind of doing this structure of work, but it's still social work. And so essentially I would say that I am a social worker right now in general in healthcare. So not in a hospital, you know, not just medical, because it's more than that, just medical, but definitely I would consider myself a healthcare social worker. So wonderful. So we are going to poll each other. You guys can ask any questions out there because this is a wealth of knowledge at this table. Like, you can't, it's priceless. The information you can get from this table, the resources that you can render and get from this table, and just the experience, knowledge, and wisdom combined of what is sitting at this table as it relates to servitude for sisters working in the field of social work and giving our time, talent, treasures to the community. So I'm going to pose the first question. And we're each going to ask each other questions, and we'll go around and hear from each other. And if you guys have any questions, roommates, please just drop it in the chat, and I'll make sure I bring it to life for you all. So my question, and I'm going to start over here with you, Veronique, and then we can come around this way. Why social work?
Why social work? Great question, Tamika. So, ever since I was a little kid, I always had visions of myself, like sitting at a table, like across from someone, and like just talking to them about their problems. Like my whole childhood, I had this vision, and so in my head, I was like, I want to be a psychologist. You know, I didn't really have a language for it.
Right.
As you know, my grandmother's a social worker.
Yes, she is.
Entire social worker. And so as I got older and started learning about social work, I'm like, well, I want to do more. You can do more.
Yes.
You talked about like all the different things you did. So I knew I wanted to, like, you know, be that person to be there for people. I knew I wanted to also like go to the people. I didn't just want to be like in an office. Like, you know, I wanted to help people that didn't have the opportunity to come to, you know, the therapist's office, especially back then. Like, therapy wasn't even as prevalent as it is now.
Yes.
So that wasn't even. I'm like, no, I want to go out to the people. So that's why I want to be a social worker. I guess that was, like you said in the scripture. I think that was just like my gift.
Your gift of giving back. And God commands us to share our gifts with the world. So, Ms. Ma'am, why social work?
So it wasn't why social work in the beginning. In undergrad, that was not my choice. My choice, and most people that I've spoken with, not probably at this table, but I went to school pre-med. I grew up wanting to be a doctor. So I still help ministry. But then things changed, and when I met with my advisor in undergrad, she was saying, maybe you should try social work. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to work for DCFS. So that's the only thing that I knew about social work.
Yes.
Because we are seasoned.
Yes.
And she was like, no, it's so much you can do with social work. And so when she started showing me all of these different fields and options that I had, I was like, oh, so I can still work in a hospital? I don't have to be a nurse or a doctor? But, you know, that's for me. And then she looked at my courses that I was taking, and she was like, you kind of was already going this way anyway. So I always tell people, I didn't choose social work chose me, because I was already taking the classes. I didn't even realize it, and so that's how I became a social worker.
Amazing.
I feel like I have a similar calling to social work. The translation of my name, Olaide, is my wealth or blessing has come.
Yeah.
And in my like pathway to arriving here, I was figuring it out, right? So like initially I went to school to become a nurse. That didn't work out. So then I graduated undergrad with early childhood development degree, and I taught for a couple years from birth to kindergarten before I decided that also was not for me. And then I decided to pursue my studies in social work for grad school. So my personal philosophy is to personify my name. So to be a blessing, to be of wealth to others. And so I have spent all of my life doing just that. So I've worked in a very wide variety of settings, and that's it.
I mean, obviously, social work, it's like either people know it or they don't, right? Social work gets kind of like people have a misconception. I'm with you. Like people used to always ask me, do I work for DCFS? Like I think that was the first thing that people always affiliated with being a social worker. And the fact that working in hospital systems, working in community-based organizations and stuff like that, of course we work with all kind of people, from the police to anybody that's working within the community. And so you come across those people and you build in your network and your resources and stuff, right? And so it's like, no, I don't work for DCFS, but I can connect you with somebody from DCFS. So it was always, unless you were really close to me, it was always kind of a mystery, like, what does Nikki do? Is she a therapist? What is she? So, all of the above, right? Especially, they still don't know what to do. This is real tea, y'all, in the trendy language, because we are out here lending our, again, time, talent, treasures, gifts to the world, and we're doing it so selflessly. Yes. But why social work for me? The exact words, I said this on last week when I was doing my 30th episode celebration. I literally did not choose social work. Social work chose me. I went to school for pre-med, changed my major. Basically, I flunked out of my major. Then I went to school for elementary education, but that was me. And remember I said my gift was teacher, right? Based on the biblicals. So I went to school for teaching, but when it got time for me to get into teaching, I had ran into some trouble. And now I'm on record as a felon. And I had to clear a lot of things up. So when it came time for me to apply for the College of Education, I couldn't, because at that time, so many things have changed with the law. So much have changed. That is no longer my status, thank God. Amen. But I fought out of that. Like, I became my biggest advocate. But when I say I didn't choose social work chose me, because there's people who know me that, like, when we were in elementary school and when we were in high school, it was people that were being bullied, and I would advocate for them. I would stand in that gap with them. I would really hush people up. Like, was it to you that their hair is this or that their clothes is this? And I would literally bring people home with me and give them my clothes, give them my shoes, do their hair. Well, I had my sister do their hair because she was real good with doing hair. I could only do my little slick ponytail. But I've always been advocating for people, and social work is the field that accepted me. Yeah. Social work didn't turn their back on me. Social work didn't judge me. Social work allowed me to climb the ladder to become not only just a client, and I'm not minimizing client-facing clinicians, but I was able to climb charts, become in supervisory and mid-management, and eventually make it to executive level management work. And social work allowed me to climb that ladder without judging me. And don't get me wrong, I had to get some waivers and stuff along the way. You know a lot of the stories. I've cried about this stuff so many times. And roommates, one day I'll give you guys the complete story about that, about how I entered into that and how I got up out of there, all by the grace of God. So that's why social work for me. Okay? Wonderful. Who got the next question for us?
I have a question
Okay.
for all of you, and I think you spoke to this a little bit, but I wanted to ask each of you, informally or formally, if you had a person that you look to that models social work for you, whether in your community, in your life, in your family, whether they were actually a social worker or just a person doing social work, that
Great question.
like inspired you to choose this career. I know the same.
You gotta think.
Well, I'll say, like I mentioned earlier, my grandmother was a social worker, and she always loved her job, and so that was inspiring. She always talked about work, talked about her clients. She was able to actually work for a Black-owned agency, HRDI.
Okay.
And so, you know, she loved it.
Yes. And so that inspired you?
Yes, ma'am. And then also my mom. My mom was not a social worker. She was a teacher and then transitioned to be a principal. But I mean, we already know teachers are like social workers anyway. But even outside of being a teacher, just her in general, just like encompasses like all of those like different attributes.
Yeah.
And then like, in her role as a teacher, she would take her students home, bring them home, take them to church and everything like that. So, I mean, even with her, like if I had known any better, I would have thought she was a social worker. That's just like, it's just in my DNA, I guess.
Yeah. Isha, you got something? You know, in my community, it wasn't any formal social workers. But I will say this, growing up in the 80s and 90s in Chicago public housing, right? I didn't know we was underprivileged. I didn't know we were supposed to be poor. I didn't know none of that because, honey, we had Jordans and stuff. I was all good, you know. But, you know, at the time, you know, we had that stigma. But it was people that worked for like CHA. And it was a lot of people from our community that ended up getting jobs like with CHA for like after school matters programs. My auntie Lee, who I've been calling aunties, who I met when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, she was like the field house manager, and we were all able to go. It was a safe haven for us, and I would witness her snapping out on us for the betterment of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was always inspired by that because she never meant no harm, and all she wanted to do was to protect us. So she would be like, if like there's, realistically speaking, if there's shooting going on outside that door, she get y'all stupid butt up in here, then y'all just hear that, you know. And I never took offense to that because this lady is like, listen, I love y'all like my own children. Get up in here. So it was people like Miss Lee, who I call Auntie Lee now. It was people like Jimmy and Jerry, who worked for CHA. It was the people that was helping a lot of us young teenage mothers get CHA apartments. I ain't know get one, but you know, I know a lot of people who did. And it was those like LAC presidents and stuff like that. So they didn't have formal titles. Remember, many of them didn't even have high school diplomas. Let's just call a spade a spade. Right. But the way they stood in the gap and stood on business about our community having access to things and opportunities brought to us, they were serious about that. So I remember thinking they were social workers, but they weren't. Yeah. But they inspired me in so many ways. That is such a great question. Yeah. Ibu, none but you.
I actually can't answer it because that was not something that, like we talked about, I didn't really understand what social work, how people still don't understand what we do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I ever came across anyone, and I wasn't like really inspired by people who were doing social service work. Yeah. Now, once I got into the field, you know, started doing my externships, internships and stuff, those people, you know, I said, okay, yeah, this is for me, because it was just so seamless, and it was like I just knew I belonged here in this field, in these spaces that I was working or interning. So to that regard, yeah, my previous employers and professors and things of that nature, but growing up, I was never really inspired to be a social worker because you didn't really know.
Right.
You know, all you knew was that they took kids away.
Yeah.
So who wants to do that?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, that makes sense.
So for me, I'm kind of gonna cheat a little bit.
Okay.
But I feel like Black women watching how any role model in my life, from like grandmothers, any matriarch, mothers, like aunties, like the way that they have like sacrificed and been selfless and cared for people, taking people in. Both my parents are immigrants, so I can always remember like people staying with us, like making sure that they were settled. So not like in a formal way, like having a social worker reference, but knowing that like extending compassion and like giving to people, like watching that being modeled for me, like whether it was a school counselor and et cetera, like it informs the work that I do. So like even though I didn't have a name for social work, like I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I feel like Tamika has a gift of connection, and I feel like that is what social workers do. We connect with people to provide support for them so that they can work through what it is that they need to get where they need to go. So
that was such a great question. That's a reflective question. That makes you really kind of think. We have a question from one of our roommates on Instagram, and y'all, everybody bear with me. Phoenix, I felt like this was supposed to be across here. Can you come in just from the side? We got a little decor, y'all, that was supposed to be like turned out in front. Just the whole thing. Just turn it out. Phoenix is.
She's everything. She's everything.
that's our producer.
Yeah, that's our producer. She's amazing. And so this was supposed to always be there, y'all. But we was trying to figure this thing out. I'm particular, but y'all work with me. I tell you. But we have a wonderful question, and Miss Tasha 29, she asked this question actually twice because she wanted us to get it out there. It's not best friend Tasha. Best friend Tasha is Brown Fox. And she said, Happy National Social Worker Awareness Month, ladies.
Thank
With
you.
the clap. Thank you, Tasha. We appreciate that. But Tasha is one of my faves. She is such a sweetheart. I worked with her at Wentworth when I was working through the CHA Plan for Transformation. We called each other fave. We met back in the early 2000s, and she's been stuck at my hip ever since. Yes, she has. That's my baby. So she's asking, how do you approach building strong relationships with clients and families, especially when faced with cultural differences or challenging circumstances? Building strong relationships. So maybe each of us could take, a part of it. So how do you approach building strong relationships with your clients and family? Unique.
So I really can't speak to the cultural difference part because I really made a point to work with my people. So I have had cultural differences, but not really many. Strong relationships. I just always try to remember why I got into this field in the first place. So I am, and to me, it's a ministry. And I always think about the fact that I have been very fortunate in my life, and just like I'm very fortunate, the tables could turn at any time, and I could always need someone. I could be in that role where I need a social worker, so or my mom, or my my grandmother, my dad, whatever. So I always just want to treat people the way that I would want to be treated. And how I would want my family to be treated, and always remembering that, we're the same, no better than them. And, I think just being like a down to earth person and just like, I'm just here to help. Like, I'm not trying to be like, I'm better than you or anything.
That's
like
right.
And just being my authentic self just always helps me.
Yes. Rev Mill is on, baby. Rev Mill, I'm sorry. That's her mother, y'all. Hey, Rev Mill, I'll get to your question in just one moment. Okay, we'll take the other part of this. So, how do you kind of work with your clients through cultural differences? Because I know in the work that you do, you're coming across different cultures and stuff like that.
So, guys, I'm not a therapist. I am a therapist, a licensed clinical social worker. I can provide therapy. However, most of my practice has been in case management. So I'm seeing you when you're in the hospital as an inpatient, or if you're going to your doctor's office and you have a non-medical need. So that's when you'll get referred to me. So in those settings, I do come across people of different cultures because everybody goes to the doctor. And as Veronique stated, you just try to be authentic and meet them where they are. That's how you build strong relationships, being true to who you are and assessing the need of from where they are. You may think that this person needs rehab, or you may be it drug rehab or physical therapy rehab, but they may not be ready for that. So you are approaching the situation, meeting the person where they are, and they feel that and they respect that, and then that's how the relationship develops. If you're trying to go in there saying, I know what's best for you, it's not going to be a relationship, and they're not going to get the help that they need, and you're not going to get the outcome you want. So you have to be authentic, and you have to assess the situation and make sure that you're meeting the patient where they are.
That's it. It has to be client-centered, because once the focus leaves off the client, now who you working for? Because it's definitely, how do you navigate challenging circumstances with your clients?
So that comes up a lot. The population I currently work with are veterans, and that is a unique population because they have experiences that the general population may not understand or have never experienced. I think, similar to what you guys have already said, listening is like really key. Like, you need to hear what people need in their own words so that you can help them process it and find a solution, as well as being able to set realistic expectations. A lot of times when people call us social workers, they're looking for a magic wand.
Miracle workers,
fix it all.
social workers.
Not miracle workers. That's God's job.
Right. And so you never want to overpromise and underdeliver, right? Because that just severs the relationship. So you want to be like, this is the capacity that I work in. This is what I can do for you. And if I can't do this, this is where you can go to receive this type of support. You always want to be reliable. You want to be able to, if you say you're going to call somebody, call them, right? If you say that I'm going to help you with this thing, like, follow it through, because I think there's, in the population I serve in most marginalized groups, people let them down a lot. Like, people tell them, promise them things and never show up for them. So, like, being that person to close the loop, right? Like, even if you cannot perform a miracle, you do the best that you can. And so that's really how, like, I navigate challenging stuff. And even with my clients that have, like, serious mental health issues, that we don't even share a reality, right? If I keep showing up and they cussing me out, calling me every name but a child of God, and I keep showing up and say, do you need help now? You need help now?
That's right.
You know, eventually they're gonna hear me out, and that's been my experience.
And that is because you're building trust.
Yes.
They know that if and when I need her, even if I'm acting a fool, even if I'm non-compliant, even if I'm, not serious in this juncture, but when I am, I can rely on that person. So I don't have to go any further with that. Rev Mill is asking such a great question, and then I'm going to move on to Veronique's question for the table. And she's asking, with us giving so much to the world, how do we replenish ourselves? This is such a great question, because a lot of times we lose ourselves in our work, and this isn't just social work, but especially for social workers. We lose ourselves in our work. We lose ourselves in our clients. There is a big old thing called vicarious trauma. that we literally at times carry the weight of our clients' circumstances, issues, and problems, especially if you're compassionate and caring, like I know everybody at this table is. I had the privilege of hiring both Veronique and Olaide into a hospital system about a year or two, maybe 2 years apart. And sitting at the table with them, I felt the energy that they would be able to be forward thinkers. They would bring the energy, but it was the compassion that I was looking for, because we were working at a safety net hospital, and we were dealing with a lot of social determinants of health. That's a whole nother show for a whole nother day. But it's what you would find in many of these small community-based small community hospitals is that we are dealing with more challenges that's more based on the social status of someone versus their medical issues and stuff. And so, again, I'll eventually have like an entire show on that. But the way that I replenish myself, first of all, nothing about what we do is going to give us an instant gratification moment. It takes time.
We do it for the outcome, not the
We do it for the outcome and not the income. And that's Isha's point, but I promise you that's very well said. But it's the small wins for me. I celebrate the small wins. Coming into this field as a naive 21-year-old, believing that literally just because of the title and because of the degree I was going to save the world, I was quickly knocked on my head, and my clients let it be known, girl, gone somewhere. We've been promised this stuff and blah blah blah. So you gotta constantly show up.
Yep.
But the way that I replenish myself is with the outcomes. I work hard to ensure that the outcome, if you're gonna do the work, I'm gonna be working with you behind the scenes, in the scenes, after the scenes. And so it's the small wins and the small victories, and just the wherewithal to be able to help people who are in need, who sometimes don't even know where to begin to help themselves. Would any of you ladies like to answer that question?
So I'll just add, everything what you're saying. I don't like to call them small wins. I call them wins.
Yeah,
just
a win
the
is a
win.
win.
So that's a replenishment when you call the organization and they're like, we're full, we can't accept anymore, or we don't have whatever the patient needs, and then you call someone else and then they come through.
Yes,
so
that's it, come
that's
through.
That. Or you have to tell someone else, unfortunately at this time we can't service you, come back later. You feel defeated when you're doing that, but then someone else comes to your office and you're able to help them get whatever they need. So that's a win. And then I don't like to take things home. Unlike these ladies, I think, because I think you all are doing some therapy type stuff. Okay, well, I don't take it home. So I do think about certain patients, especially the very vulnerable patients, those that have been abused or being misused in any kind of way, not just at the hospital ill for whatever reason. You think about them, but because of my faith, I know that's beyond me. I only can meet a need, a tangible need. So if it's something that's deeper than that, I have to give that to God. So
that's it.
I release it and let Him handle it. So that's how I replenish myself. Like, that's His, this is mine.
This is mine. That's right. Listen, that'll take you a long way. Anybody else? How y'all replenishing yourselves?
For me, boundaries, like you were saying, not working harder than my client. Like Tamika was saying, like coming into this field, you want to help everyone. You do want to make miracles happen, but you do have to realize, like, you are human.
Yep.
And you can sometimes, you have your own capacity, right? And so, like, recognizing that for myself.
Yes.
There's been clients I've been so invested in that I was, I used to work in like homelessness and housing people. I have had clients where I had their location on my phone, like, so I would call them at 8 o'clock, like, where are you okay? Because I know that they were so vulnerable and at risk. And I had to learn, right? I can't work harder than my client. They're not ready to make a change just yet, right? So I wait until they come to me with that need before I try to anticipate it, right? Because I'm a person who lives with anxiety. So I have to practice what I preach by setting boundaries, and then also taking care of myself. So I also, you know, through spirituality and then physical fitness, I work out. So that replenishes me. I ran them out before I got here today.
Yes.
So I am the opposite of my friend Tamika, which is why I think we get along so well. Because this is Miss Congeniality, and I am a true introvert. I'm just like my dad. Like, just put me in a dark room by myself. Like, I gotta get by myself. Like, I need to be alone to recharge. So, like for this, I probably don't want to talk no more for like a month after this. So I just know myself. Like after a long day, I replenish myself by just being. I don't even want to watch TV. I don't want the lights on. I just gotta be by myself and still.
And you know what? Well, God tells us that at some juncture we do have to be still, and that makes a lot of sense. When I'm too overwhelmed, I kind of take that route too. But you know, I tell people all the time, I'm a socialite, but at the same time, I'm an introvert, and I know it doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you, I shut down. When my battery runs low, I won't answer the phone. I go ghost. My best friend will tell you, I go ghost on her. Shoot.
It's actually really impressive. Like when I started working at the hospital, Tamika knew everybody by name. She, hey George, hey Miss Annie, just knew everybody. And I was like, you know everybody from the cafeteria up into the administration. I'm just like, wow.
And you know what? That takes some getting used to. But okay, let's get through because. You know, we ran it down. Really? I'm telling you, it's so fun here.
I'm
you
so
look
nervous, y'all. I'm like, girl, I don't know.
I told her, I said, come on over here, baby, where the stuff is spread full, because it's a lot of fun. It is nerve-wracking. I tell my roommates all the time, like, you guys don't know. The first 20 episodes, you know this, the first 20 episodes, like I was nervous as ever. Like, but of course, as you go on, I'm not as nervous, but sometimes I still get nervous. But after I pray now, I'm kind of like in a better place. You got 29 questions, but which one you want to ask?
I know Veronique was going to ask.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Veronique. What's your question?
So I was going to ask, so I know for myself, throughout the long 19 years of being a social worker, it's many times I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like, I need a new career. So I was gonna ask you guys, how do you stay motivated throughout these years to stick with it and not go be like a work for Target or something?
Well, I think that's where like the umbrella of social work comes in for me. Like I've been able to switch roles. So when I know that my time has been spent, like I worked in homelessness for 4 years, my time was up. And so I took a break from direct service, which is also when I left psychotherapy, and now I'm in my current role. So I primarily do administrative work, but I'm like a social worker's social work. So people who've experienced things, like I provide support to them. So yeah, I just feel like I just know, like when it's time to switch, when I know like I don't have anything left to give, or I do need to be replenished, or I do need a refill, I'm like, let's try something different. And that's what it's been for me.
Motivation. What about you?
Again, when I said that this field shows me, it shows me because I've never felt that.
Wow.
I've been blessed to have jobs in this field that I absolutely loved. I've changed jobs, but because of relocation, pay. But if I could have stayed because I wanted to stay in that town or a state, or if the pay could have increased, I would have stayed. So every job that I've had doing this, maybe not MFS, because I wanted to be in a medical setting, and that was not a medical setting. So outside of Metropolitan Family Services, which was a good job for me, that position was made for me. They
Yeah.
didn't even have that position
Yes.
when they hired me. And it was with seniors whom I love.
Yes.
However, my heart is in medicine.
Yeah.
So every other job that I've had was in a medical setting, and so there was no
always
reason
something
to not to leave other than relocating or increasing my salary.
I love that for you.
Yeah,
True.
absolutely. You know, Isha said something a moment ago about it's not about the outcome, but it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. I learned my niche, but I also had to learn how to climb the ladder to go after what it was that I wanted financially as far as compensation, because we do a relentless job of connecting with people, of trying to have our own, setting boundaries, doing all of these things to try to stay just at a place of ease and being able to still be beneficial to people, right? Because again, vicarious trauma is real. And so for me, it has been outcomes is everything.
Yeah.
I want to give a real brief story. Y'all know I'm a storyteller. I want to give a real brief story. I had a small stint working in it was for a community-based organization, but they had a DCFS contract, and it was teenage pregnant girls who were DCFS wards.
Wow.
And they had babies, or they were getting ready to have babies. And so they were anywhere from the age of 11 to the age of 15.
Oh, no.
Yes, ma'am. So I was working with this population, and so of course the stories that came along with those pregnancies vary, right? Some of it was family incest, some of it was, you know, girls and boys being girls and boys, etc. But, and this was probably 08, you know, 08, 09, and it was a brief stint. But in December 31st, when I was at a New Year comedy show at Airy Crown Theater, the big one they have every single year, and this was in 2020. We were getting ready to come into 2020. COVID was getting ready to hit.
Yeah.
And I had come into the Airy Crown, you know, if you've ever been in there, you park in the parking lot, you come up, and you know, you could pay right there, so when you get ready to leave, you don't have to stand in that long line. So the security guy was like, y'all probably want to pay now, because when y'all come out, it's going to be hundreds of people. I was standing there, and this young lady was looking at me. She was a young adult. She's probably mid to late 20s. She kept looking at me, but I'm like, okay, I look a little cute tonight, so okay, maybe she was just, you know, checking me out, you know, it's fine. And she walked up to me and she says, your name Tamika. Now I'm taken aback because I don't know her. I don't recognize this person. And she says to me, I'm such and so, and I used to live at this shelter on such and so, and you were there, and you used to sit in the dark room with me, hold my baby, because my baby used to always cry. My baby was 9 months, I was 5 months pregnant. You used to sit on the floor with me in the dark, because that's what I like to do, and you would cry with me, and you would help me. Aww. And I knew that if I ever seen you again, I would know it was you.
Yeah.
At the time, she was 14 when I met her. When she was standing in front of me, she was 28.
Wow.
So her life had doubled.
Yeah.
And this young lady, through the makeup, I done grown and all of this stuff, hair probably was different.
Yeah.
Through all of that, she knew who I was.
Yeah.
That is one of the most touching stories I have in social work.
That we want.
Yeah. Right?
You can't get a salary for that.
You can't get a salary for that.
Yeah.
So the way that I am motivated is by being able to help people in spaces and areas when they can't help themselves.
Yes.
And even when you don't think you're being instrumental in what it is that someone is going through, God will send you a reminder.
Yes.
Oh, baby, you've done that. And so when my mindset changed from you can't change the whole, or you can't help the whole world, but you can help one person at a time that want the help, that's when I started to become motivated. Yeah. And with that, that is probably one of the most touching stories of my career.
Yeah.
And to this day, I am that young lady's mentee, and that's been for the last, mentor. She's my mentee for the past 5 years.
Wow.
And so God is good.
Amen.
God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. So that the outcomes is what motivate me. And we don't always get a good outcome. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Right? In the medical setting, we lose people through
Yes.
illness. In violence prevention, we lose people through death. The very things we're fighting for and against, sometimes we lose those battles.
Yes.
But the outcomes, when they're good, they real good. Did you need us to give you that, or do you got one too? Are you finding ways to stay motivated, or you needed that from us?
I'm in for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Now motivated me.
Okay, good. Isha, what you got, girl? She got 23
No,
cards.
I do not. I have 5 cards. Stop it. Okay. Because you said we were on, so this is a good question.
Wonderful.
What do you hope to accomplish from your field or work of social work?
What do you hope to accomplish?
Well, I'm going to answer it since I posed it. I'll answer too. I hope to add to the long list of social workers that came before me by doing work that is changing people's lives for the good, the changes that they want to make, not the changes that society imposes on people. How do you want your life to look? How do you want to live your life? So that's my goal to be added to that list of social work. And I also said I hope to leave a legacy at the organization that I'm working at. Because social work can be an undervalued role in organizations, and so you have to do it because it's something that you're called to do. So I feel like if I'm changing people that come to the organization, and then the staff that I manage, helping them build themselves up to set boundaries, to make change for our patients that come in. I want to be remembered doing that.
Yeah.
Like just, making a change, be a change maker. That's what I hope to accomplish as I continue this social work journey.
Yeah. Similarly, I want to leave a legacy of impact. I want to leave an impression on every person that I've been blessed to assist. I want to be able to tell stories like Tamika just did. I want to be able to know for myself that I gave it everything that I could, even if I can't make a change, right? So I want to be, I want to be able to know for myself that I did everything I intended to.
I mean, great minds think alike, right? None of this is scripted. The moment you asked this question, the answer came up, and the answer is legacy. My legacy is, I'm building it in a way that it's not just, I want the impact left where I've been, but the legacy that I'm building is within my own organization that I'm building. I mean, I have an LLC, Grounds for Healing LLC, that I'm working to expand in that world. I eventually want to do some stuff with reentry, men and women and young adults coming home from the incarceral system or penitentiaries, as many of us may know. And so I am working vigorously towards that. And with leaving that legacy, I want to integrate my children in every capacity that I can. My children sit back and watch me. My 7-year-old asks me every week, what you talking about? Deuce is 7. Don't Deuce, girl. Deuce asks me every week, what you talking about on the podcast this week? So they understand what I do. Phoenix watch me week in and week out, and she is amazed. And most 15, 16-year-olds can't stand their parents. And don't get me wrong, sometimes she can't stand me, but that's all right. She can't whoop me either. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to bring her down the sacks. As my grandmother used to say, just bring her down the sacks. But leave legacy. And definitely, I want to drop bits and pieces of impact along the way, but I want to have foundations named after Tamika Watson. I want to leave legacy that is multi-generational, hopefully, you know, children, grandchildren, and all of that good stuff. So, great question, Shorty.
So for me, I love seniors. I love them. It's like when people see a baby, I see seniors, I'm like, oh, they're so cute.
I know.
I love
Boy,
seniors.
don't let that happen to people on SCU and she was working over there. Jesus Christ. Now I'm telling your business. Go ahead.
I love seniors and they love me too. And I'm privileged to work in nursing home settings and assisted living settings now. So I go out and see my seniors all the time. And what I have noticed is a lot of them are lonely. A lot of them don't have anyone to actually just listen to them. And so when they start telling me stuff like, I'm like making a mental note in my head, making a list in my head about like who I'm gonna talk to about this. Like I'm trying to advocate. Like you could say something to me and I'm just like whatever, but like my seniors like don't play with them.
Don't mess with them.
So and then I'm like, but then still I have to be client centered. So when they get done talking, I'm like, I get their permission. Like, do you want me to say something? A lot of times they don't. And so what I realize is they just want somebody to listen to them.
Yes.
Especially in the nursing home and in assisted living, they're very isolated.
Yeah.
And you just, you know, you have staff there, but they're in and out. So if I just sit there, and I'm not a big talker anyway, so it works well for me. They sit there and talk for 30, 45 minutes, and they just want to talk. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening, and I'm paying attention. So I just want to be that person that listens to them and makes them feel like they matter because they do and make them feel important. That's all I want.
Yeah. Guys, we are headed to closing segment.
Wow.
This has been such a blessing on me. I would have been remiss to acknowledge all of the awareness months and days and not acknowledge what it is that we do, how impactful we are. The years of service at this table is more than a half a century. Like we didn't put in work. Isha, you said how many years? 23, 9, 20, almost 24, 19. So you got 75 years, you know, concurrently of inspiration, motivation, going hard for people that we don't even know. That part. Let's not forget. Like literally, it's almost like signing up. And let's be very clear. I'm not minimizing the role of a veteran or the role of an army man.
Yes.
But baby, we are out here servicing for the sake of the people.
Yes.
And we are sometimes undermined.
Yes.
We are underappreciated.
Yes.
And not in every setting. But I remember first entering that world of medical social work. I'm like, hey, wait, listen here. You go ahead and do the discharge plan. Let me see you do it. Right? I had to help them understand that you need me just like I need you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But your doctor ain't no bigger than me as my little old social worker.
Right.
You know, because they ain't doing discharge planning.
No. And they won't touch a social issue.
Oh, baby, they run from it so fast.
Consult.
Social work consult. Put it in quick, faster than her. Come in the next morning, 23 of them.
Yeah.
But what I just want to say to you guys, what we do is extremely selfless.
Yes.
Never get too overwhelmed in what it is that you're going through. I am here with and for you guys. I am standing in the gap. I know precisely what you've gone through because I've worked in every setting that y'all worked in, including the threat stuff. I just, things have changed, but I worked, DV was one of my very first jobs. It was an intern of mine when I was working on my master's for 2 years. So I know it all up close and personal. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Honored to be here.
Oh. And next year we might do this out in Puerto Rico, so well, honey, it's 90 degrees outside on the beach, honey, okay? God has been good. These ladies has celebrated with me, celebrated on my behalf, have shared links, had people to support and follow my platforms. I know each of them. Isha's the only one I met personally, and then our work took a turn for the same thing. But these two young ladies I met professionally, and they both have turned into personal friends. So I'm thankful for each of you, not only for the work that you do, but for your lives. I thank God for you.
Likewise, for you as well.
Thank you. I am going to close us out with a Bible scripture. It comes from Matthew 5:16, and it reminds us, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Amen. I thank God for each of you ladies. I thank God for my roommates. I'm appreciative of the work that we have been able to serve in for a cumulative of 75 years. And nope, we ain't 75 years old. Okay? Put that experience together. We've been out here humping and working on behalf of the people, and God is using us, and we are appreciative of that. Roommates, good night. I love you all. See you soon. Bye.